Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to the third and final segment of Ask the King, episode 78 for September 26, 2019. If you're watching on stream, welcome back from the break. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to check out parts 1 and 2, both of which should be live right here on the King of Hate vlogs on YouTube on demand. Okay? So we don't got much left. We got a few Twitter questions to answer, and then we're going to move on to stream chat questions, okay? Where I'm going to go ahead and be answering things that people just randomly want to ask in chat to end out this final segment of the show. Fair enough. Reminder, I mentioned this at the beginning of the show. I'll mention it again. You can already post up your questions for the next answer of Ask the King. That's going to be the next episode of Ask the King. That's going to be on Thanksgiving Day in the United States, which is November 28th, 2019. There's already a thread open on my forums on the kinghate.com website for you to post up those questions. Fair enough. Joe just did a 105-bit cheer. He says, your gaming schedule on Twitch runs out tomorrow. Will you update it? Well, here's the thing. The gaming schedule that you are addressing is showing publicly the games that I was planning on playing for the month of September. I will actively update that soon. Hopefully today, we'll see. With the games that I'm planning to playing in October, FYI, those games are the Ghostbusters reboot, possibly the new Plants vs. Zombies game, WWE 2K20, The Outer Worlds, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the Medieval Remaster, Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz Remaster, and Luigi's Mansion 3, along with the Halloween Horror Marathon, and there may be a few odds and ends in there, like I think there was rumors that there's some Disney re-releases and stuff coming out. We'll see. Okay? Now, on to Twitter, shall we? Alright. First question, from Vincent. He says, do you think that the new Call of Duty will be any good? I watched you play the multiplayer, and it feels to me that they're still doing the same old, same old. From what I've noticed, I made some big observations in the multiplayer. The first is that they really were trying to make this look more realistic. You can now reload while looking down the sight. When you turn to aim, you actually lean a little bit, which is kind of realistic. I like that. The graphics themselves look a lot more detailed and realistic in my opinion. And the sound effects seem to be very different from previous Call of Duty. I don't know if people think they're better or worse. For me, they seem like they had a lot more bass to them. So it seemed to me like maybe it was a little bit more on the realistic side in that regard. The maps, if you haven't noticed, are no longer insane, zany maps with crazy shit. It's more like more baseline, realistic maps to more realistic areas, which is good, in my opinion. And the gameplay that was primarily changed, that it seems like, unlike the last game where it was all about run into someone, immediately aim, fire, done, now it seems like people have the ability to find areas to hide and camp, try to get kill streaks, be more strategic with their gameplay rather than just be run, gun, reaction over and over and over, okay? However, then there's game modes like Ground War that just seems to be like that, where it's just so zany with the spawning being so bad or whatever, it's just kill, 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 kill. So it seems to be a little bit of a dichotomy. When I was playing the standard multiplayer, it was more than apparent they have not gotten the connections good enough in this to be competitive. I'm sorry, but when I'm running into a room, I see someone, I draw my gun, I fire 4 times, and the hit indicator says hit, 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 hit. 4 hits. 4 hits. Then I die instantly. You go back and watch their kill cam on their screen. They drew first and fired and hit you 4 times first. Something's wrong, all right? I need to have something at least semi-close to what's really fucking going on in the game displayed on my fucking TV so I know what's happening in the game. And this happens all the time in the freaking game. And it's always been like that for the past 5, 6, 7 years. Call of Duty servers are not great. They keep having these issues on console. And I'm just like, all right, here you go. Here's your chance, right, to redeem yourself from the past 5 years when it was all about gimmicks and stupid shit. Take all that out, but now if the connections are still bad, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, everything you've changed to go back to more hardcore gameplay gets thrown into the trash if the game still doesn't have a solid connection. And it's so weird to me that they don't get that. Admittedly, this was the beta. Maybe in 1 month when this game releases, it'll be better. I don't know, but that's not a lot of time to essentially revamp their system and make the connections better. I'm not seeing it, man. I'm seriously not seeing it. I'm seeing that the game's going to be released exactly the same, and then they'll slowly make improvements over months and months and months to make it better in time, but you'll get this kind of finicky game at launch that's going to be quite frustrating. I guess we'll find out. That's my major criticism of the game. From what I saw, I think Ground War is just insane. The spawns are terrible. They're really trying to be like Battlefield, and it's not very good. The standard multiplayer was alright until I had all these fucking issues. Oh, by the way, shotguns, People were killing me from mid-range to even sometimes long-range with shotguns, which was insane. Then I pulled out a shotgun, and I was doing the same thing. I'm like, huh? Why the hell is this thing so fucking powerful? It's like, out of control. But at the very least, they changed something. Because if they were still going down the same path that they have been going down for the past 5 years, I think it would be dying within another 2 years. So, I guess we'll see what happens. Okay? Brian asks the following. What's your opinion on the company Arcade went up making arcade machines of retro games for affordable prices? Would you consider getting one? Well, the only machines that I've seen Arcade went up make are the ones that are sold in retail stores. And it's hilarious because people think they're getting an arcade machine experience with these things. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, a real arcade machine, all right, stands about, I'd say, roughly anywhere between 6 to 8 feet tall. Usually the cabinet is wider than the human body. The controls are very heavy fiberboard like build, wooden cabinet, fiberboard cabinet, very strong, very sturdy. Usually has certain things on it so the edges aren't sharp. Has a light up marquee at the top of it to advertise the game. You can see it throughout the arcade. A typical screen would be anywhere from, I think the smallest one in the arcade was 24 inches, but they could go all the way up to like 48 inches. And sometimes, if you had a widescreen screen for like fighting games, it could be even ginormous compared to that. All right. And essentially, that's the arcade experience for me. I've seen in stores them selling these like mini arcade cabinets where the thing's kind of flimsy, it's not very sturdy, and it's like half your, like, it's not even as tall as like my chest. But this is supposed to be an arcade cabinet. I'm like, dude, no, arcade cabinets are up here, okay? At least American-style arcade cabinets. If you're talking Japanese, you're a completely different situation. Those are like sit-down cabinets, very differently designed than American ones. But American arcade cabinets are like up here. They're sturdy. You know, you buy an arcade cabinet for your house, that thing's like a sturdy-ass thing that's a part of your house. It's not this little thing you push into the corner when you're not playing it. I'm not saying that these arcade cabinets they're selling today are bad. I'm just saying that's not reminiscent of the actual experience you had back in the day when you went to a video arcade to play games. It's a little gimmick thing. It's like a collectible version. I call it Arcade Mini. You know, I got my Genesis Mini on the floor over here. It's Arcade Mini. It's the small, shrunken version of what an arcade machine used to be. So that being said, I don't really, you know, am I against or for them? I don't know. I don't really have an opinion. I wouldn't buy one because I have no desire. First of all, I have no room for one. I have no desire to have an arcade cabinet in my house. I play video games all day on stream. I don't want that to also be what I do when I'm off stream. So, you know, essentially that's not really anything I'm really interested in. But if you have nostalgia, you're dying to have an arcade machine in your house, it's usually these things are around $300. Pretty inexpensive to put a thing in your house like that. So I guess, you know, it's up to you, right? I got raided. Well, I completely missed it, and I apologize. I was busy answering questions. Not too surprised that I missed out on it, considering that this is a Q&A show, and I'm not actively reading the chat constantly until the very end. Retro Jim just cheered. He says, Call of Duty's been in a bad state for a while, but the game's fan base isn't very vocal about problems. Right, and you know, I'm not going to go into massive detail about why on this stream, but essentially what it is, that fan base now has created this very, how do I say it? One hand, your back scratches my back, and then I'll scratch your back to keep everyone happy. So if you're a content creator for Call of Duty, you don't want to talk shit about Call of Duty because then you can't make videos of it for the next year that make you money and make you a living. If you're a hardcore player of Call of Duty, you don't want to talk shit about Call of Duty because then no one plays your game that you're so hardcore into. You see what I mean? Like, that community is kind of on the fence of being as popular as it needs to be viable. So if you downplay a game or you shit talk a game, what's going to happen, right? And look what happened with the beta. So all the players who are content creators collectively complain that they can't do their old school run and gunning gameplay because there's no map on the screen constantly. So within 1 week, they added it to the beta permanently. Now it's on the screen constantly. Even though the whole game was designed around not having the map there constantly, they kowtowed to these people who are content creators who they know are going to give them free advertisement and promote their game for free because those people complained that they can't now do fancy shit. You know, because that's essentially what was happening. Within the first 2 days of the beta, none of the people who were good at the game were doing very well. They were flubbing. They couldn't, oh my god, someone camped and killed me a million times. Yeah, because that's how the old games used to be. It's not the run and gun garbage that you created it to be with all the modernized garbage you put into Call of Duty. So, for me, I definitely get why the fan base isn't vocal about problems. They're totally afraid that if this game isn't successful with the way that it's changing everything, that this might be the beginning of the end for Call of Duty, and then where's their community? There's none left, right? So, makes sense. Okay. Martin Watson asks, if they approached you, would you have Rambo or Howard on a stream? Yes, if Rambo or Howard contacted me and said, Phil, let's let bygones be bygones. Let's just have a conversation on stream about the good old days, or let's get caught up on stream and have a stream where we talk about everything that's going on in our lives now and just kind of shoot the shit. I would do it in a heartbeat. They haven't talked to me once since, I want to say early to mid 2015. The way that they communicated with me was to make that video, that hurtful video about me, in late 2015, and that was it. I haven't heard a peep from them since then. So if they actually ever wanted to say, hey, Phil, so, you know, that all that stuff that happened back then is water under the bridge. It's bad shit. Let's talk or whatever. I'd be open to it. I'm the public personality in this situation where they know that they can reach out to me. I have public ways to contact me. At this point, I don't, you know, I probably wouldn't even know their numbers or anything. It's been 4 fucking years, right? But nothing like that has ever happened, and I doubt it ever will. Like I've told you guys many times, in my opinion, and this is just my take, when you do something like they did back then, what that means is that they didn't ever want to have any association with me ever again. They knew that I was going to have tons of negative repercussions for doing what they did, which I did. I got a lot of hate and a lot of messed up stuff happened to me because of it. And they didn't give a shit. They wanted to sever that connection definitively, cut the cords, so to speak, so people would stop bothering them about me. And they did that, and they got their way, and it's been like that for, 4 years. I have no control over any of it, okay? Continuing on, Sleepy says there was 3D gaming, then there was VR gaming. What do you think will be the next fad? What will be the next thing you have in order for it not to become a gaming fad? Actually, that's not correct. The way it was actually, there was motion control gaming, right? Then there was 3D gaming. Then there was VR gaming. Okay? Now you say, what's the next gimmick? The next gimmick will be that you put sensors on your feet and you put them into a basin of water, all right? And you splash around for swimming mechanics in swimming games, but also you can wiggle your toes to control the menus. It's water mechanics, water controls for your console. So you could water ski, you could swim, you could play like fighting games underwater. That's what it'll be. I don't know. These gimmicks never made sense to me to begin with. Like, they never work. The motion controls kind of work, but not all the time. The fucking VR is very difficult to get to work properly. And I owned them all. I owned the PS Move. I owned the Kinect. I owned the Wii controller. I had all the gimmicks, and not one of them ever 100% really worked very well for me. I would say the PS Move was the closest to working, but didn't always work well all the time. You notice they abandoned them, right? You notice that ever since, I think PSVR, which was what, at this point 3 years ago? Or was it 4? I don't even remember. But that was kind of like the last push for a gimmick. And since then, we haven't seen many at all, if any. Like, I haven't seen any new peripheral that's the hot new thing. You know what I mean? Like, I think at this point, maybe we've reached the point where people are wiser and aren't going to buy into every stupid little gimmick anymore and drop a ridiculous amount of money on something that's going to be used for a year and then dropped like a hot rock. I would hope, because I couldn't even tell you. Let me just tell you. I seriously just, I gotta shake my head and be like, I can't believe that these game companies, they think this is going to be like their savior, their saving grace. We want to make a buck, so let's push everyone to do motion controls or VR or whatever. It's so dumb. Anyone like who's been around the block knows this shit. When it starts, is bullshit. When the PSVR and the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive and everything was being touted by the mainstream gaming media as this is the way it's going to change everything, it's the future of gaming, I said, bullshit. I've been here. I've done this 10 times already. I know this is not going to take off. It's going to be there for a year or two. You'll have a couple games that people talk about. Unless they make a killer app that's must play, this will never be viable. Here we are in 2019. Every single store is fully stocked with VR units. None of them are selling. No one's buying VR. No one talks about VR. What a fucking surprise. I just don't even know, now, as for your next part of your question, which was, what would be the next thing need to have in order for it not to become a gaming fad? Just like I said, it has to become something that becomes so intuitive and essential to a gaming experience and so additive to a gaming experience that you wouldn't want to experience a game without it. I'll give you an example. At one point, all controllers just had old school directional pads. In fact, right over here on the floor, I have the Sega Genesis controller. And the Sega Genesis controller is one of the oldest of the old school controllers. It has an 8-way directional pad and 3 face buttons, and that's it. And at one time, this was essential for gaming. It was the best controller you could get. Feels good in the hands. Wow, all these buttons and good controls. It's great, right? Then, all of a sudden, controllers started being released with thumbsticks. And as we started using these thumbsticks, we said, wait a minute. Now we've got unprecedented amount of control. Instead of just moving 8 directions, you can move almost unlimited amount of directions. And it feels better. It's smooth on the finger. Your thumb doesn't get worn out from using the touchpad. Instead, it feels nice and smooth on your finger. And it's something different. Then they started adding many, many more buttons to the controller, right? Now, instead of 3, now there's 4. Now there's all these. You know, you look at the PS4 pad. This thing's got multiple triggers on the top. You've got a light sensor. You got a touchpad. All these things that essentially add to the gameplay experience, and now they become the standard, right? That's never happened with these gimmicks. The motion control, you could argue, maybe added a few things to games that otherwise wouldn't be very entertaining, but overall didn't really add enough to be viable in the long term. People didn't want to waggle their arms around at length because it's tiring, it hurts your arms, it wears you out. Sometimes the sensor malfunctions. Now you don't have as accurate control as you can get with a traditional D-pad for a lengthy game, and essentially became a gimmick. Motion control, same thing. Like when you're standing up and you're doing your connect, right? And it doesn't work half the time. Who wants to put up with this shit? VR, they never even made VR viable, in my opinion. The VR headsets are uncomfortable and unwieldy. They make your head sweat. You don't know. You can't see in a space. You don't know how much space you need. The sensors are amazing. You end up, there's so many issues with these things that they just become, okay, it's good for a few months of messing around, dicking around, but who the hell wants to play a full game with a VR headset on, right? That's kind of my judge. So for one of these things to catch, because you could argue the thumbstick was a gimmick. Nintendo 64 controller was the first controller to have a thumbstick. Then Sony jumped on that bandwagon later because the original Sony PS1 controller did not have a thumbstick. It was just a D-pad and 4 buttons and shoulders. Then later, when Nintendo 64's controller was popular and successful, they added thumbsticks to their controller and it opened up a whole new generation of game development. Okay? So that's what you mean. You need to have something that's so different and adds so much to the overall gaming experience that everyone wants it for their games. Motion controls didn't do it. VR didn't do it. Certainly 3D gaming was a joke. That's what you need. So, okay. Richard Perez actually asked 2 interesting questions, so I'd like to answer them both. His first question is, Phil, I'm a longtime viewer. Would you ever consider getting a Stream Deck? I know you have your little sound effect device, so maybe having it would be funny to add to the stream. Maybe even put some DSP classic phrases in there. Interestingly, you asked me this. I looked into Stream Deck. Stream Deck, for those who don't know, it's a device. It's like about this big with buttons that you can program to do anything. I could hit it to switch between scenes in OBS. I could hit it to play a music clip, to play a video on stream. So I could have it here forever. And something funny happens, I hit it and it plays "You Blew It" from Adam Sandler or something. Right? I could set it up to do that. I think it's a good idea. The problem is, Stream Deck only works with Windows. I think it's like Windows, whatever the latest Windows is, it requires that. I looked into it. I was like, well, my computers don't run on the latest Windows. Now, the latest Windows is a free upgrade, but the latest Windows also is way more unstable than the current Windows I'm using. If you guys don't notice, almost never do I have technical problems. Maybe every once in a while my mic goes out and I restart everything and it fixes. But outside of that, you've noticed almost no crashes, almost no issues. You want to know why? Because I'm running on an older version of Windows that's more stable than the modern ones. So I don't usually have issues. If I ran on the newest version of Windows, I've heard it's way more unstable. You might have a kind of technical issues all the time and all of that. So imagine now, oh cool, I can use Stream Deck and I'm playing, sound effects, but every other day my stream crashes and fucks up. Is it worth it? You see what I mean? I like how stable things are. So what I would say is this. If I were forced for some reason to get a new PC, or if I were forced to essentially do something where I had to change my setup and I had to upgrade Windows, then Stream Deck would become viable for me. But I am not going to mess with what works just for a gimmick of maybe being able to play a few sound effects and things and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? So there you go. Okay? All right, now the second half of his question, he says, what are your opinions and thoughts on Black Friday and Cyber Monday? I'm currently looking to buy a Nintendo Switch and an Xbox One for my kids. Do you think it's worth it to wait the holiday season to purchase them to maximize the deals? Wait till the holiday season to purchase them to maximize the deals. Physical brick and mortar stores are the worst possible places to go for deals on Black Friday. They don't have good deals anymore. Maybe at one point they did. They are a nightmare to get to. There's risk involved with assholes who just have no heed of the humans around them, and they just want to care about themselves and getting their own greedy hands and on deals. A lot of the stuff they sell those days isn't really even a deal. What they're doing is they're selling you a low quality product for a cheap price that normally they don't even sell. When I used to work at Best Buy, they would ship in low-end computers to sell for like $150 on Black Friday. These are computers no one would want to buy normally. But because it's a $150 computer, idiots would run in to buy them. You know, Celeron processor, garbage computers. This is how it is, and this is how it still is to this day. It's not an opportunity to really get yourself a deal in real life. Now, online is the complete and polar opposite. They wait for Black Friday and they wait for Cyber Monday to put out really good deals. This gaming headset never goes on sale, but it was $50 off during Black Friday weekend, and I bought it 2 years ago for $50 off, okay? There is opportunity online to buy that stuff, all right? So what I would say is, yes, online purchases, 2 thumbs up. Buying stuff in real life during that time period, hell no. Not worth the risk, and certainly not worth the time off away from your family and friends during those days when you should be spending with them to go shopping. It's fucking stupid, okay? Captain DCW has resale for 23 months and says 23 months of going broke. Thank you very much, Captain DCW, especially because it's a tier 2 sub. And Frenolith, that 100-bit cheers, says, have you heard of Neurable, first telepathic gaming headset? No, I have not heard about that, so I can't comment on that whatsoever. Thank you for the cheer. Last Twitter question, and then we're going to open it up to stream chat for the end of the stream here. Dead Space asks, will you ever get a green screen and really take your channel to the next level? I literally think that's all that's missing. Well, if having a little bit of transparency behind me on my streams is really what's holding me back, I mean, can you talk about one of the most frivolous things? Like, when you watch me on a gameplay stream, all right, I pretty much look like this. Hold on a second here. Well, I guess that wasn't a good example because my camera is not shaped properly. But essentially, you see me with a border around the camera. That was a really stupid idea that I just did that. You see me with a border around a webcam, all right? You see a little bit behind me. I mean, what do you see? You see this right here. You see a little bit of wall. You see a little bit of chair, you know, and a little bit of my microphone, okay? If I were to do a green screen, first of all, you'd still see the sofa. I can't put a green screen hanging behind me on the sofa. All that would change is that you wouldn't see this little bit of wall, a little bit of foam behind me, okay? Arguably, I guess I could get rid of my border for the webcam, so that would go away. And not that that's a huge deal, but what you're telling me is that getting rid of a little bit of wall and a little bit of foam behind me is going to revolutionize my streams for the mainstream, and people are going to come in droves to take me to the next level, and it's going to be blown away, right? I mean, call me a little skeptical, but I seriously don't think that that's going to change anything, okay? First of all, I'm ugly. No one wants to see my ugly mug any better, high definition, than you see me in my videos anyway. I'm not some attractive dude or, you know, webcam girl who people want to see me in any higher quality than I'm in right now. If anything, people ask me, please make it more fuzzy if you can. As fuzzy as possible, Phil, please. My eyes, you know. And in addition to that, you know, as I've said many times, it would be a huge chore to try to find a way to get a screen behind me, because this is the wall. The wall is right there. Now, if I put a green screen in front of the foam, number one, that negates the effects of the foam, and number two, the foam would make the green screen look stupid. So you'd hear echo more on my mic, and the green screen would not look flat, and you'd see all fucked up behind me. It wouldn't look good. Plus, I wouldn't be able to get into the closet here, because the closet opens right here, and if I put a green screen here, it blocks the closet. Now I can't get into the closet to get my supplies. So the truth of the matter here is that number one, I don't think it would add anything to the streams whatsoever. No one's ever convinced me. No one's ever said, Phil, no, really. here's what you could do with the green screen that would blow us away. Not a single person's ever done that. It's essentially, the only argument I get is, well, a lot of other people do it. Okay? A lot of other people do it. That's great. Does that mean that I have to do what everyone else does? You know, just because I deleted a little bit of wall and a little bit of foam, does that change the quality or the content of my stream? Does that revolutionize my content for the masses? Or is it just that it's something that people have been kind of like brainwashed into thinking you need to put on a live stream, when in reality it adds absolutely nothing? It's a gimmick. Okay? It wouldn't add anything to my streams. What am I going to do behind me, right? Not a big deal. So, truth of the matter is that no, I don't think that it would put me to the next level, and no, I have no plans on instituting a green screen behind me because it's not going to change anything. Okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to open up the stream chat to some questions. We just got a cheer from Retro Jim. He says, what if you did cool effects with the green screen to attract attention? That's the thing, though. That people don't want that. People say when you do effects and shit, it's distracting. What they want, essentially, is just seeing my head, okay? Just my head transparent onto the game. That's what most streamers are doing these days. But most streamers are also sitting in front of a PC-style setup at a desk, so that they have nothing behind them, and they can just put the hanging green screen or standing green screen directly behind their heads while they have a light blaring in front of them, and it looks good. I don't have that. I'm sitting on a love seat in the corner of my office. I've explained a million times why it's not viable to mix up the setup of this office due to the placement of the window, the placement of the router and internet and everything. I'm kind of screwed where everything is. I can't move much. Plus, I'm fine with how things are. I have never received massive complaints about not having a green screen. Every once in a while, someone like this guy asks the question, and I answer it, and then we move on, and then no one cares about it for another 6 months. So, number one DSP fan just tipped me $7. You are the top tipper of today. Number one DSP fan. Thank you very much. Let's get you up on the leaderboard, and thank you for the support to those who did contribute during today's Ask the King. That is appreciated. $7. That gets us up to 34. Thank you for that. That Indie Glow just resubbed for 22 months in a row. And he says, hey, Phil, what is your worst home warranty story? My AC went out on Monday. Now I have to wait for them to realize that it can't be fixed and needs to be replaced, which could literally take forever, and it's hot as hell. A home warranty horror story. I haven't had many of them. I would say, okay, there's two things that happened to me in regards to the homes that I've owned. The first was when I first moved into my condo in Connecticut. Within not even 2 months, within a month of living there, the toilet started to leak into the basement. Now, the basement is owned by the condo association and the owner of the building, not by me. So any damage that happened down there, I would be legally responsible for fixing. And I was told the toilet was essentially leaking on the seals right into there badly. Now, I just bought the fucking place. Why am I responsible that this should have been done when I bought it? It shouldn't be something that happened that they sold me a faulty toilet. I don't even want to tell you. Basically, essentially what happened was I had bought it from the husband of a coworker at work who I was friends with, and when I brought it up with the husband, he essentially then was so angry with me that I would bring it up with him. I didn't want anything from him. I wanted to talk to the contractor who had redone the place for when I bought it to try to get him to come fix it for free. Later on, I found out the contractor was his buddy. So what really happened was this guy did a half-assed job renovating the place, had issues with the toilet, all right, and tried to then say that, oh, no, I can't contact the contractor, when I found out in reality it was his buddy, and he didn't want his buddy to get in trouble for doing a shitty job. It actually got so bad, it was so bad that this guy then essentially told me to stop talking to his wife, so I did. I just stopped being friends with her, because the guy was a shithead, basically. He even told me, this was when I just started making videos on YouTube. Remember my very first review, where I had the little robot figurine from Red Faction Gorilla that I threw into my toilet? The guy apparently saw the video and said, I think your toilet's leaking because you threw a toy into your toilet. I was like, this guy's such an asshole at this point. I want nothing to do with him or anyone else related to this guy ever again. So I basically stopped dealing anything to do with them ever again. I was like, fuck these idiots. I'm not going to deal with that shit. And I didn't. So essentially that's what happened way back when. That was a horror story because then I had to pay for a plumber to come in. He had to lift the whole toilet out of the ground. Look, yeah, they did the seal wrong. The seal's completely botched. This should have been done properly, and he charged me money to do it, which is a pain in the ass. It wasn't anything that I did wrong. I basically got fucked by this guy skimping on money to try to renovate the place to sell it. Okay? The second time that I had an issue was when I moved in here. When I first moved in here, I had leaks in the roof, in the room over here, the office across the hall, and also in the bedroom where water was coming in and damaging my ceiling. And I immediately contacted my condo association and said, what's going on with this? Like, how did we not know about this? And they said, essentially, the previous owners never told anyone about it. And then, the day when they were moving out and were handing the keys over to the realtor, told the realtor, oh, it just started today. There's no way. How were there stains on the ceiling if it just started today? They're full of shit. This thing had been leaking apparently for a long time, and they didn't want to tell anyone because they didn't want to have to pay to fix it in order to sell the house. So they're assholes. And they fucked me over. The good news here is that this place is a condo, and because it's a condo, I paid dues. Immediately, they had a repair guy come out within a week, and he did temporary repairs on the rooftop, and then within a year, they replaced my whole roof. So the issue was fixed. That was one where I didn't have to pay for anything, thank goodness. But, you know, there's other things here that were screwed up, too. My garage still remains a big, disgusting mess where the decals all over the fucking cabinets and shit because the kids who lived here before basically ran the garage like a chop shop. He had his friends bring their cars in, and he would, like, chop them up and put shit on them and stuff. So he thought he was a hot rod kid, and he had all these stupid car stickers and racing decals and shit. He made the whole garage look terrible. They never did proper inspections on anything, including the water heater and the furnace downstairs were never tested, and the filter was completely filthy. Like, the previous owners were incredibly irresponsible and didn't do anything that they should have done per the contract when I bought the place, but the things they didn't do were so trivial that it didn't matter. Like, if I had sued them for it, I would have spent more money and effort on the lawsuit against them than actually getting the money I would have got out of it. So there was no point in doing it. I was like, whatever. So I paid for the guy to come and change my filter, you know, little things here or there. So pretty annoying. But that's really the worst. I never really had like a terrible, awful situation where something went horribly wrong with the home and now I was stuck with a giant bill, or I was sticking, like you're saying, your situation, can't even get an air conditioner, you know, for a certain amount of time. That's terrible. Excuse me. Okay, Spawn Killer, Timmy, $2 says, have you thought about selling your old green screen? Well, the thing about that is, you know, that thing's been sitting in my garage for a while, and when something sits in a garage, it doesn't necessarily stay too well. Over the years, the thing isn't, like, it doesn't stand up well anymore. One of the legs is bent and messed up. The lights, I believe, still work. So if I ever needed better lighting for whatever reason for filming, I would have it. But essentially, there's nothing, no one's going to buy a used green screen with bent legs and shit. You see what I mean? Anonymous Dollar Tipper says, if you don't want the green screen, why keep the camera on during gameplay? I don't see the value of added for the quality of the streams that you can keep adjusting it. And it's a pain in the butt to mess with, probably. What? I'm going to try this again. If you don't want the green screen, why keep the camera on during gameplay? Okay, so this person is saying just turn the camera off if I don't use a green screen. I just don't see the value added for the quality of the stream since you have to keep adjusting it. What, the webcam? And it's a pain in the butt to mess with, probably. What? When do I mess with the webcam during gameplay? Huh? I guess what I'm assuming this person is saying is, if you notice, sometimes when I play games, oh no, behind me there's text and I'm blocking it with my webcam, so now I have to move my webcam from one end of the screen to the other, right? I'm assuming that's what he's saying. It's not that big of a deal. I don't usually have to move it. Maybe for fighting games, and every once in a while there's a game where it blocks a little bit. Usually it's not an intrusive thing. Quite frankly, I'd still have to move it. Even with a green screen, if my head's blocking text, I still have to move it. You see what I mean? Like, I don't think it would add anything. I don't. And no one's convinced me otherwise. I said over the years, just convince me. Show me essentially how this is going to make things so much better. And people have photoshopped in hypotheticals, which is hilarious because one person photoshopped me in with no couch behind me. I'm like, that's not how it would be. The couch would be there. The green screen doesn't go behind me. It would go behind the couch. You'd still see the couch. So then people, you know, they try nothing. You can't, not a single person has shown me a viable reason to use the green screen. Laughing Goat Cheers says, why don't you try the green screen for one stream, see how it goes? Worst case, you can take it back down. Because that green screen isn't for in here. That green screen is a ginormous green screen with a huge ass stand that doesn't even fit against this wall. That's made for like a garage. I had it when you're going to do a giant filming of you like your full body dancing in front of a green screen. That's what that thing was for. When I bought it, I didn't know that. When I bought it, I thought it was going to be convertible to a small one. It's not. So essentially, remember that when I first got it in 2015, I danced in front of it and we had green screen graphics for the stream. That's the only time that I've ever been able to make use of it. Outside of that, it wouldn't even fit in here. I would have to get a different green screen to actually fit in here. Plus, it's broken. The stand's fucked up. So, Retro Jim cheered. He said, what's your favorite part about being a streamer? I would say, number one, that I get to play fun games all day, even though not every game is fun. Generally, I enjoy myself. And number two, that I get to interact with people on a daily basis. I get fun social interaction on these streams, where otherwise, you know, when I had my 9-to-5 job in the office, I had social interaction with a few people in the office, and every once in a while I call a customer, but a lot of busy work with fucking crunching numbers and putting forms into a system and shit. It becomes trivial and menial and boring and meaningless after a while. Here I feel like I actually have a purpose. Like I'm entertaining you guys, we're having fun together. People tell me all the time they love my content, keep it up. I never had that. I never had that kind of encouragement or positive feedback with anything I've done in my life except this. So those I'd say would be the positives and my favorite parts. Eternal Napalm Cheer. He says, 8 hours into Link's Awakening, what are your detailed thoughts? Where does it rank so far among other Zelda games you played? Actually, I think I'm 12 hours in, and I like it. I'm not going to give a verdict until I beat it. I would say right now it's pretty much on par with Link to the Past. So let's see. Let's continue on. Before I give any kind of a ranking or rating, let me keep going, but I really like the game. Jimbo tipped me $5. There's a few things that can be improved. You can get a modern webcam, but I know you're fucked sideways for money until you retire. So for those who are suggesting things that cost money, you're literally a troll who wants Phil to repeat himself. I don't like this webcam. I'll be honest with all of you. I never liked this webcam. When I actually bought this webcam, it said it could do 60 frames per second, and it was a blatant lie. It actually doesn't. What I found out is if you want this webcam to do 60 frames, you have to buy separate software that does it. Like the base Windows drivers and software this webcam uses only does 30 frames. There's no way to get it to do 60. It's fucked up. I was like, wow, I bought this cam. It was a complete scam. Because it said 60 on the box, and then there's like an asterisk. Oh, using third-party things. I was like, oh, that's nice. It is a 1080p webcam. It's lasted a million years. I started using this webcam when I was doing the picture-in-picture stuff for like the Kinect and the motion control stuff. Is when I started using the webcam to do that. So essentially, the webcam has worked out and given me a lot of quality for sure. But I agree with you. I'm sure there's a million better webcams out there at this point. I'm sure of it. You know, I don't have money to drop. If this webcam works, I can't be buying frivolously things that I don't need. If this webcam absolutely died, then yeah, I'd have to find a way to afford it, but I can't spend money on that. You know what I mean? So thank you, Jimbo, for the $5 tip. And somebody at Meat Cheers says, camera is the cool part of your streams. If it was there, it'd be cool, but definitely not necessary. So I think he's talking about the green screen, right? Choo Choo Lane cheered. He said, would you ever consider doing a proper retro stream where you make the webcam record your TV? No. And there's a couple reasons why. The first is, if I really wanted to go old school, back the old way I used to do it with just a camera, I couldn't live stream. So obviously that would suck. Can't live stream when that's my main source of income and what people come out for. And my old camera has issues now. Like, it's broken. The hinges and stuff are messed up. It doesn't even, the battery in it won't stay in. The hinge that, like, the spring that holds the battery in is messed up. So I have to, like, tape it to get it to work. Essentially, I could do it. It would be a lot of work to get it to work. And quite frankly, for the gimmick of doing, like, one game or one stream to do it, I don't think it's worth it to go outside of what I do with streaming. Now you're saying, have the webcam film your TV. I could do that and it would look terrible. The webcam, first of all, this webcam is nowhere near as good as the camera I used to use when I filmed gameplay. The camera I used to use had a ginormous lens, like this big, no lie, like really big. I don't know why I'm doing two hands. That's very confusing. All right, let's do one hand. Very big, like this big was the size of the lens, so pretty huge. And the camera had all these on-the-fly adjustments for brightness and everything. Nothing that this webcam has. This webcam is a tiny, itsy-bitsy little lens right there. So it would look awful. The stream would look blurry. And by the way, the audio that I use is this microphone, not the audio from the webcam. The audio from the webcam also sounds awful. So you're talking an insanely bad, blurry, shitty quality stream with a webcam just for the sake of saying, haha, it's like the old school way. I don't think it's worth it. Insomniatic Meat, hold on a second. Oh, thank you, Insomniatic Meat, for clarifying. That's what I thought you meant. Thank you for the cheer. Retro Jim cheered again. He says, have you thought about wearing more video game hats themed around the game you were playing at the time? I don't have money for a ton of hats, all right? I don't have money. You know, the hats that I wear, this is a hat that I bought in, 2011, 2012, when I had a lot of YouTube money to spend. The Sonic hat is one that came with Sonic Generations back in the day for free. Or was it Sonic Colors? It was either Sonic Generations or Sonic Colors because I pre-ordered it. I got it for free at GameStop. So every once in a while I wear that when I play Sonic games. But outside of that, I don't have a ton of hats. I don't have money for a ton of hats. And when I wear a hat, I can't use headphones. How exactly would this work? You know, with the Sonic hat, I have to crush the hat. Oh, this sounds great. Okay, then. Continuing on. Oh, I finished all the shout-outs. So, essentially, guys, we've got maybe 5-10 minutes left tops. Let's just get a few more questions in from the stream chat. Okay? How much did the cowboy hat cost? Asked Yukimura Sonata. I don't remember. I know it wasn't like $100 or anything like that. It also wasn't cheap. I think it was kind of middle of the road there. So I would say it's probably between $50 and $100. And then they had to ship it to my house in Connecticut. So I would say, you know, right around there. But I couldn't 100% confirm. I certainly don't have the receipts from back then. Okay. Yui560 did 100-bit cheers. Says Street Fighter 2 HD Remix came out 2008. Ultra Street Fighter 2 came out 2017. How did you remember how to play Street Fighter 2 over the 9-year gap, but forget how to play Street Fighter 5, which is the easiest Street Fighter game? Because I played Street Fighter 2 when it came out in arcades in 1992. I played it all throughout those years that it was in arcades through the early 2000s. Then I played every active console version of it through those years. And even though you could say, well, Phil really didn't touch Super Turbo for a while, it's never going to go away because it's been ingrained in my body after playing it year after year after year in tournament play. Street Fighter V, I essentially played it a little bit for 2 months at launch, stopped playing it when I hated it. When DLC characters every once in a while came out, I played it a little bit more. Then I stopped playing it again. Then I came back to it a couple years later, which I think was last year when people bought me the DLC package and I tried a couple characters. Then I stopped playing it again, and then I played it a tiny bit on stream. What was it, 2 months ago, 1 month ago? You're talking a drop in a bucket. If you're talking the bucket that is my Street Fighter experience, Street Fighter V is a drop, and Super Turbo is like half the bucket. That's why. Be the Colonel just did 100-bit cheers. Did opinion on the U.S. Army having worried that the Joker movie will inspire crime? I think it's a ridiculous thing to be worried about. Sadly, Be you missed a whole segment where I talked about that earlier. I talked about that earlier on this very Ask the King. I'm not going to reiterate my answer. I would recommend when this goes live on YouTube, you rewind to, I think it was part 2. Don't quote me on that. I think it was part 2 where I answered that question. Okay? Mark Murphy just did me $5. Said, would painting your wall and sound foam green be a workable solution to the green screen issue? No. Paint only lasts a certain amount of time until it fades. Paint would not solve the issue because the wall still has texture to it. This is not... This wall actually has bumps on it, so you would see the bumps. Painting this wouldn't work. There's shading. You're going to see shadows from the light going on the foam. You'd still see those behind me. It wouldn't work. But thank you for the $5 tip. Okay. Mark McCauley asked, do you think we'll ever see another good Street Fighter game? I have to have hope. I have to have hope. Because I love the franchise so much, and I grew up playing it, and it's that one game that I've ever actually put all that time and effort into playing competitively, that you have to have hope that eventually someone's going to step up at Capcom and make a good game. But Street Fighter V ain't it, and I don't think it's happening anytime soon. Retro Jim Cheater said, what's your favorite Mario character? I don't have one, quite frankly. I really don't. I would say Yoshi is my favorite character for like Mario Kart, and also for games like the Olympic games, because when I played Mario Kart back in the day, I always liked playing as Yoshi. I thought he was a good all-around character, but I don't have a favorite character in the franchise itself. Favorite villain is definitely Bowser. Sambuca 2020 did 100-bit cheers. Says, if you got a regular job, what would you want to do? I honestly don't know. I would certainly like to work somewhere maybe in the aeronautical industry, since I had 5 years of experience of that. I would like to do things like I used to do, like continuous improvement work. The problem is when you're out of it for 10 years, I'm sure my certification in achieving competitive excellence, or ACE for short, is not good anymore. They probably say, oh, we added a million things over the last 10 years that aren't valid anymore. I could still do the stuff that I used to do. I could still process map out an entire process and put metrics in place. I still remember how to do all that shit, and I loved doing it when I did it for about 2 years when I did it, but I don't think anyone's going to hire me to do that. You know what I mean? People are probably going to hire me at a line level position. No one's going to hire me to be at a position for that kind of stuff. So, you know, it is what it is. Anonymous Dollar Tipper says, in the past you said it's on your viewers to make streams entertaining, whereas other streamers say that's their job. Why do you differ from them in that regard? I've literally never said that once. I said that my job on a stream is to put out an entertaining stream, but it's your job to interact with me. If you feel that the game is too boring to hold your interest, if you have topics you want to talk about with me or whatever, we'll do that. I can't every single moment of every stream have something to talk about. Especially if I'm playing a game, like for example, the other day I was playing Borderlands 3 and a lot of shooting or whatever. I'm sorry, when I'm concentrating on surviving and shooting things, I can't immediately have 10 topics popping into my head to talk about with you. It's more about our organic interactivity. It's not about me bringing everything. It's not about you bringing everything. It's about us having a good time together. I firmly believe that. But overall, you're right. It's up to me to provide the venue, whether it's the game backdrop, the cameras and equipment that work, actually having intelligent responses or entertaining responses to the conversation that you guys raise. But I'm not going to come here like an orator with a list of 27 topics that we should discuss on stream today. I'll have a couple, or I'll talk about current events, but I'm not here to do that. That's something completely different than what the kind of content that I put out. But I resent the fact that you say that I said it's the viewer's job to make streams entertaining when I never said that. That's you putting words in my mouth to make me look bad, and you're a jerk. Vote Democrat Charity says, do you think you deserve even 10% of the hate you get, or is it all bullshit? I will say this. I'm certainly not perfect. I made tons of mistakes over the years. I actually talked about it. One of the earliest questions on Ask the King this week or this month was about how I openly admit I made lots of mistakes back in the day with things I said and did in my behaviors. I've actively tried to change said behaviors. So a lot of the hate that I feel that I get towards me isn't about current Phil. It's about old school Phil, but old school Phil became a meme, a immortal, immutable, unchangeable meme on the internet that will always be associated with me. So no matter what I say and do, the hate for all the shit I've done back over those years is going to hit me. Much like I said, it's this cancel culture where Phil did something bad 10 years ago, cancel him in 2019. But that's not Phil today. Doesn't matter. He did that 10 years ago, cancel Phil in 2019. That's fucked up. So do I believe that I even deserve 10% of the hate that I get today? Well, if the hate is towards something that I actually did on a stream, fine. But it's not most of the time. Most of the shit that people will tell you about me is not true at all. It's a negative spin on something that is true. And so what they're saying is not. And because of that pisses me off, and I do have resentment about that, because it seems like to me, no matter what I do to improve myself, there will always be this stigma and this mentality on the internet that I'm not a good streamer, or I'm a good person. Instead, I'm just a hopeless scammer and e-beggar and racist, messed up person, and none of that is fucking true about current Phil. So there you go. Laughing Goat Cheer, he says you could add the perfect green screen that would satisfy all your requirements and dimensions and use if someone bought it at least once. What? Could you add the perfect green screen that would satisfy all your requirements and dimensions and use it if someone bought it at least once? Wait. It's another example of this guy. If this person used punctuation, I would understand it. I think what they're asking is, if someone donates a green screen that will fit behind me, will I try it at least once to see how it looks? Is that what you were trying to say? Holy macaroni. If that was the case, I guess, let me say, if you're giving me everything I need to try it, I don't see what the harm is in giving it a shot. But I can tell you right now, I don't even know how I would get it behind the couch. This is a wall. I can't tape it over this. You would see it. You would look messed up. Like, I don't know. If you got to explain to me how the hell I'm going to get a green screen behind me in my setup here without rearranging my office, which I can't do. Okay? Spawn Killer tipped me $1. Says, why did you stop doing gaming calendar videos? I didn't. What I do is I spin those into other things. So, for example, I did a best of, worst of E3 cumulative video back in June. And when I did that, I also explained the gaming calendar for the rest of the year at that point. All right. Now what I do is I talk on my pre-streams a cumulative schedule update, so you guys know what's going on in the next few weeks to month. The thing is with the gaming franchise, the gaming landscape the way it is, things change all the time. You think a game's coming out and it's not. You don't have solid release dates for certain games, so you can't promise when you're going to play them and stuff. So I'd rather not commit to things that I can't live up to, okay? So essentially, doing a gaming calendar video every 3 months is a waste of time, because by the time those things hit, maybe I can't afford all the games. Maybe a game has more information. Now I'm not too interested in it anymore. I think that doing more periodic, like maybe once every month, I re-update I tell you guys about my updated schedule so you know what to expect, right? Now, I've already talked about this idea that people had. They said, why not once every quarter do kind of a recap and preview video? You can recap the stuff you did a few months before and give opinions on all the games or whatever as a cumulative kind of thing, and then you can preview the things coming up in the next few months. That sounds like a good idea, and that's something that I may be interested in starting in either December or January, okay? Retro Jim Charity said, would it be possible to pick a night to give to a charity as a sign of goodwill and doing well for others? Maybe a portion of night's contributions to show detractors the kind of Phil you are today. Retro Jim, I've already explained this one a lot too. Number one, I have a personal belief inside of me that charity is not something to be made public. That if you're going to give to an organization a donation, if you're going to do something charitable like do non-for-profit work, if you're going to go volunteer your time at a soup kitchen or, you know, Habitat for Humanity, that's something to be done outside of anything public, and you shouldn't do it in any way, shape, or form so that people know about it and that it's in the public eye. I feel that that should be something that's hidden behind the scenes, and it's for you to do something good, not that everyone else thinks you're a good guy because you made it public. In fact, that's flouting or taunting or touting supposedly something that's supposed to be giving of yourself, but if you benefit from it, then it's not. In reality, you benefited from it, so you didn't actually do a charitable work at all because it helped you. All those people that did the Ice Bucket Challenge years ago, oh, those are really nice guys. Immediately, you negated the charitable aspect of it because you got something out of it. At least that's my personal belief. You can disagree, and that's okay. But that's why I don't do that kind of shit. Okay? If I did a straw, today's stream, I'm donating half the charity to this and that. Not doing that. Because then immediately that's, oh, people are now giving contributions to help out Phil, but also to help out a charity. And it makes that's fucked up. If you like me for me, come watch me and support me. Don't come support me because I'm giving some money away to charity. That's stupid and messed up in my opinion, okay? Stimby Tippy, and that's right. You know what? Someone just, City Slicker said OG Catholic Phil. Even though I will admit I'm not a religious person, that's something that was kind of ingrained in me when I was young, and I still believe that to this day. I would never mix the two, okay, when it comes to charity. All right. Stimby tipped me $2 and said, NVIDIA developed new technology and software that removes your background without a green screen called RTX Green Screen, and it might be worth looking into, Phil, just for the fun of it. Thank you, Stimpy, for that suggestion. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now officially out of time. I need to end the stream so I can actually upload it and then go have dinner and everything. So I want to say thank you to everyone who hung out with me today, whether you watched live on stream, whether you watched on demand on YouTube. Thank you to everyone who contributed. Reminder, next month, or the next episode is in 2 months on Thanksgiving Day, and we already have the means. You can post up your questions on my forums. If you want a guaranteed question to be answered on that show, you should pledge to my Patreon at patreon.com/DarkSidePhil. There's a perk level for that. I want to say thank you to everyone. It was a good Ask the King, in my opinion. Perfect length of time and everything, and it went well. So thank you all, everyone, and I will see you in 2 months' time for Ask the King Special Thanksgiving Holiday Edition. Peace out, everyone. I will see you then for episode 79. Later.